Hey, welcome to Victoria Unleashed. Here, I hold nothing back. On this show, you'll hear my personal insights, channeled messages, and leading edge conscious conversations to set your spirit free from an old fear-based reality. So glad you're here. I hope you enjoy the show, and I'll see you on the other side. Today's message is brought to you by Joan of Angels Soul Essence Portraits. Joan of Angels art is activated, unique, one-of-a-kind portraits that are created just for you in alignment with your soul's essence. So hop on over to joanofangels.com and register for your soul essence portrait today. This conversation was recorded on March 30th, 2024 in Scottsdale, Arizona. Hello, all of you beautiful sovereign beings of light. Yes, it's been a while since I've been here, and I've been getting the spiritual kick in the butt to get back on camera and start having conversations with other thought leaders and people who are making extraordinary things happen in the world. Today, I have one of my very best friends in the entire universe. Yes. With me, and possibly, I would say, one of my best friends in the entire multiverse. So I've been saying, Joan and I met a couple of years ago, I've been saying that Joan is one of my FBFs, forever best friends. And today we are hanging out in Scottsdale, Arizona, having the time of our lives between places. And as you may know, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been doing spiritual gypsy, right? And Joan's been doing that too. So our travels over the last couple of years, sometimes we meet up. And so now we're here in Arizona for a bit, bringing you her message for today. She's talking about a class that she's doing, what she's up to right now. And I am delighted to have this conversation with her. So Joan, take it away.
Oh, wow. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see all of you out there, all you miracle maker, miracle masters, light carriers, and soul awakened people. It's just great to see you. I'm Joan of Angels. Yes, we're having a great day. In fact, we're like trying to figure out our summer excursion as we brainstorm Barcelona, because I'm speaking there, and just adventuring and exploring. So that's, I guess, what Victoria and I do. But we do a little bit more than that. We're always talking about what's next. How can we help and serve? What can we do to help uplift people? And about a month and a half ago, I was guided to offer the Badass Angel event, which is happening March 20th. And this event is all about learning how to set boundaries, to really up your game, decide what it is you're looking to do, and really believe in yourself enough to be able to say no to what doesn't serve you. So I suppose that it's a workshop all about learning how to say no, learning how to recognize what doesn't serve you, and then saying no. So that this is called preventive living. How you prevent disasters as you choose your right path, and say yes to that which is serving you. And it's far more complicated than it seems, guys, because it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to believe the hype about things. It's easy to, ignore your intuition that may say, no, that's not the right place for you to go, or don't do that. So I have found over the year that learning to set boundaries and determining like which is the right direction to go to, it's an art form in itself, right?
Yeah, I know it's been really fun just watching you over the last couple of years, and your own personal evolution is seeing you step into the badass angel that I've seen, over the last couple of years that we've known each other, and how much you have grown in that sense.
I love the way you put that. I think you're right. So I was brought up to never really tell anyone the truth. Don't make waves, be passive, let other people take the fall and make the hard decisions. And with this last year and a half, ever since I've been traveling, I realized that the buck really does stop with me. Mm-hmm. And even if I'm in a group and other people aren't feeling responsible for the group, if I'm involved in it in a leadership role, I am responsible for it, and I take a lot of. Um, to me, it's very, very important to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing, how they're doing it, or gets assistance in stepping up into what they need. But then, if it's not appropriate, that they're stopped.
Yeah.
In certain ways, and I've been discovering a lot of inappropriate behavior.
One of the things I noticed over the last couple of years is your ability to say no and to know what doesn't not only not serve you, but what doesn't serve whatever the project is that you're working on. So you stepped into that badass angel that says, this is not what is best for this particular project, even knowing that there were people that were going to be upset with you for that.
Right.
But you could see the bigger picture. One of the things that I've noticed about you over the years is that you do have the ability to recognize how if this happens, then this will happen. Right? So you're able to see the bigger picture and say, no, if we don't want this to happen, then we have to come back to the present and take care of what might cause that disastrous scenario.
Right.
In the case of sometimes disinviting people from scenarios and having the courage to stand up for things that you believe in, even knowing that there are some people that would disagree with you standing up for what you believe in. And that's this badassness. And I remember you're like, oh my God, I found the badass angel in me. And so now you're able to teach because we can't teach what we don't know.
Right.
So you found the badass angel within you.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are teaching other people how to find that badass angel within themselves.
Well, I have to tell you, it was a survival thing for me because I realized that in my life, I usually defer to other people to make those decisions. But here I found myself guiding and leading certain tours to Egypt, or conferences, the Glastonbury conference or the online conferences. Once I realized I'm in charge, and that then the tone and the outcome had to do with some of my actions. Right. And if I saw things out of balance, and that could be a whole bunch of things. When I was preparing for the trip to Egypt, I realized that the outcome of the Egypt trip was a byproduct of the people that were on the trip and what we as leaders did.
Yeah.
And our guides as well, but it had to do with that mix of people. And when I realized that we might be taking people on the trip who might be dangerous or negatively impact the rest of the tour, then that forced me to examine what I personally could do about it, because I realized no one else saw it the way I did it, and if it was to be handled, I was the one to do it. And ever since that aha moment I had that if it's meant to be, it's up to me, I realized I've been taking that role in other things, online conferences, online events, who we put on those events. So it's been a really exciting year for me in feeling empowered to say no when someone has to make that choice. And it wasn't no for me, it was no, knowing that it could negatively impact the event. It could never negatively impact the takeaway that people have from it and the frequency. So, yeah, so I've been really studying, I think, and paying attention to the outcome of whichever direction I choose to go in.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? What I see with that, your presentations talk a lot about intuition, and what it looks like for me is that intuitive guidance has not just gone up a notch. It's like,
yeah, well,
right? Because you're able to see a much bigger picture than perhaps your own personal guidance. It's now you've taken this being able to see, because intuition for a lot of people is being able to see and hear, experience intuition on a much higher, broader scale than you had before.
I call it precognitive recognition. Being able to understand ahead of time what could happen, what are the possible outcomes. And I never used to think like that. I mean, I used to just dive in and then discover I was in the wrong place and try to scramble back out, right? You put your toe in, and instead of just putting my toe in, I would dive in full enthusiasm, and then I would turn around, literally, if you could see me fast backtracking, to get out of there, because I didn't understand that I needed to learn a method. And this is what I teach: how you can literally put your foot in the water of where you think you're going, and to see if what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If it's a positive outcome for you, if you're going to lose everything from that outcome, or if the frequency is going to be wrong for you.
So in this badass angel training, you're teaching people to recognize precognition also?
Yes, I'm going to teach you how to use what I call the discernment scale, which is the key to everything. So if you could discern that if you turn right and you go down that street, it's going to have a terrible outcome for you, then you'd know not to go there.
Right.
If you could understand that if you pay, give a few $1,000s on this investment here, it's not going to work out the way you planned. You're going to lose your money, then you might think twice about doing it. So it's about learning how to, number one, discern what could happen, and then number two, saying no to that, assuming you feel strongly enough about that. It's complicated in that way.
Okay.
Because you still have to make a choice. It's not like you still have to say, yes, I'm going to do this, or no, I'm not.
Right.
The more you practice this precognitive discernment, then the more comfortable you become in your no, in like knowing that this is not the outcome you are choosing. So it's all about learning how to recognize your choices and recognize the outcomes that come with those choices, and then being willing to say, this is not right for me.
Yeah.
And they're all equally hard. Being able to walk away from something that hasn't happened just because you have a feeling that it might not work out the way you think it is huge. It requires a lot of confidence in your boundaries, in your ability to see and discern what's happening, and in self-protection and self-care.
So, and all of us have that, I call the inner guidance system, our inner compass that can, and actually our higher self, our future self, can actually show us what the outcomes of a scenario will be if we take the time to ask. Where a lot of times the ego wants it to turn out a certain way, the personality self wants it to turn out a certain way, so we'll make choices based on what the personality self wants,
right,
rather than what our higher self says is best for us.
Right. So learning how to make choices based on what is for your highest good and the highest good of all concerned is certainly different than having this feeling of, oh my God, I got to go dancing tonight. Or you go and you check it out and go, is it for my highest good to go dancing? Yes. Is it for my highest good to go to the saloon? No. Is it my highest good to go take that dance class? Maybe. Yes. And you can learn to get those answers of what is for your highest good, what steps to take. And yes, it's learning to trust your intuition. And another way we learn to trust our intuition is by looking at the outcome of when we don't trust our intuition. So how do you know your intuition is accurate? You start putting it through the test. You start identifying when it's been accurate and what happened, and when you didn't listen to it and it was accurate, but you didn't listen, and what happened to you then. Because I don't know about you, but I've had many disasters that happened when I don't listen to that voice within.
Absolutely. So I know for some people, what I've heard, now for me, my intuition tends to be it's more auditory. I'll hear words, or it's a gut feeling. But I've been told that intuition looks different for different people. So sometimes it can be a gut feeling, sometimes it's words, sometimes it's a visual, sometimes it's a smell. And I know you also use a pendulum as well. So sometimes you can use a support to support that intuition, right? So sometimes it could be drawing cards, and the cards will have a message that helps to support which direction is the best direction to go, or the pendulum that helps support which direction is the best direction to go. But ultimately, it's about listening to however that internal guidance speaks to us,
Right.
Learning how to trust that.
learning how, and that's the big one, learning how to trust and learning how to confirm that your intuition is right. And and that's not as easy as it sounds. So the way you learn to trust it is that you keep testing it. You hear some, you know, you got a guidance today to go to Scottsdale, and then you go to Scottsdale and you find you something happened or you met that person you've been wanting to meet, and it's like, oh my goodness, I was sent there for a reason. It's a good thing I listened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, supposing it tells you not to go to Scottsdale, and you go to Scottsdale anyway, and you have a lousy time, or you meet a creep, you know, some creepy people, and it doesn't turn out the way you were expecting. Right. It's not the fun day you were thinking. So you write it down. You keep track. Listen to my intuition, and I met an amazing person in Scottsdale. I didn't listen, and I had a difficult time. It didn't work out. And trust me, you will find out that there's many times when you don't listen, mm-hmm. that it didn't turn out the way you thought it would.
So one of the things I've kind of found in my life is that when I follow my intuition, that higher guidance, inner guidance, however we individually consider it, whatever, mm-hmm. doesn't matter what label we put on it, but what I found when I follow my guidance, that what happens in my life is so much easier. It's like with so much more grace and ease. Where if I'm not following my intuition, then it's like trudging through mud. So one way I explain it is, when you're on path, it's like this smooth path that you're on. But if you're not listening and you're off path, it's like walking in the gutter or in the gravel on the side of the road. It's more difficult. So if we can listen to Spirit's guidance, whatever name is we use for that path is so much easier, and we're not tripping over mistakes.
Right. No, it unfolds. You've stepped into the miraculous, where it just happens like butter, you know, smooth. Everything's organic, and it's not stressful. So those are the confirmations you need. Like when you're in that miracle flow and you put out your thought, I want to meet so-and-so, and there they are at Starbucks.
Yeah.
You know, or you get that phone call and there's no effort because you've done all that work to prepare. It's like you've caught the miracle wave, and now it's going to unfold with all of those synchronicities you've been asking for.
Yeah. So the question is, one, asking the right questions, right? Asking the best questions and asking for the best answers and learning how to listen for the answers. So there is a technique to it. And this is the technique you're going to be teaching in your classes?
It is part of the technique I'm going to be teaching in the classes. But I'm going to first have you recognize what is the effect of not being able to set boundaries? How does that really impact your life, where you let everyone walk over you? Or whether you're too afraid to raise your hand or say, no, we don't do it that way. So we have to look at the impact first of where we've kind of released that control. And then we start to look at what it's going to take to bring back that energy. So we pull back pieces of our soul that would have said no if we had been strong enough. And we start practicing saying no, 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 no. Because in order to say yes to our full life, we have to know what we're saying no to.
Right.
So yes, we're designing certain techniques and tools to learn how to become your own badass angel. What do I mean by a badass angel? Because I've gotten some flack, you know, it's like, well, an angel is not supposed to be badass, right? However, I don't know about you, but I want the kind of angel that's going to get things done. Right? Okay. When I call on my angels, I want you to get things done. I want clarity. I want, like, let's just do it right now. I don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
I want to cut out the riffraff. I just want to go directly for the gold. I don't want to go speaking where they don't want me to speak. I mean, honestly, I want a badass angel as my guardian angel. And then I realized, well, I needed to match that. I need to be my own badass angel.
Yeah.
So my angel can work on the bigger stuff.
You know what? It's so funny. If people are if they're giving you a hard time about badass angel, I laugh. I'm like, okay, Archangel Michael, that is one badass angel.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't go around and go, oh, you follow the badass Archangel Michael.
Some people
You know,
would.
they don't call him the badass angel, even though he has a sword to cut away what doesn't serve. He has a ring that can bind demons and lower frequencies. He is the top badass angel, but you notice he doesn't care what you say about him.
Right.
That's another quality of a badass angel, my friends, is like really trusting your own confidence and trusting your own truth,
Yeah.
no matter what.
And that's where a lot of people get stuck because human beings are not taught how to trust themselves.
Well, no, it's pretty challenging to go against the grain, to stand out like a sore thumb. All those words are coming to me, and going against the grain. So if all the sheep are turning west and you turn east, you stand out. People are going to watch you. They're going to see if you fail or not. But in learning how to be this badass angel, you're learning how to stand in your own truth. In other words, you're learning to go right when everyone goes left. So I had a dream about ascension. I don't know if I ever told you. It was right after my first contact in the desert. It was the first contact. And I'm in the car, my friend's driving, my eyes closed, and I have this ascension dream. I could hardly believe it. I didn't even know what the word ascension really was back then. And I have this dream that I'm in a Harry Potter train station, you know, like Hogwarts, the train station they took to go to Hogwarts, right? And suddenly, there's a whole groups of people, and I find myself going vertical on the train. Like, I don't even know how I got on the train, but it goes up, not sideways, but up. So I go up, and there was all these people were going to the left. You know, they were getting off this elevator, and mobs of people going to the left. And I went, I don't want to go where everyone else is going. That's not me. That's not my path. And I turned to the right. And I was by myself when I turned to the right. But as I went down the path to the right, I knew that that's where you can only get there by choosing to go there. You couldn't, it just couldn't be one of the crowd. You couldn't follow the crowd. It was a choice to go to the very special ascension chambers where my peers really were. But I had to know enough to turn right to make that choice.
Wow, what a fantastic story that you got to see, even in your dreams when you make conscious choices, what happens in our physical reality, right?
Well, and the old me would have turned left. You know, I didn't want to make waves. I didn't want to be seen and be noticed. So I probably would have turned left. But there I was. I'm not going where the crowd's going. I'm on my own path.
Yeah.
And so, guys, that is kind of what we're learning how to do here, how you craft your own path. Listen to the voice that's your inner voice. You know, listen to what Michael tells you, not me, and then you make your decisions. And this goes for raising children, raising a family, your job, your career, your decisions as an entrepreneur. You can determine whether or not this event you're going to go to would serve you, or whether you should pass it by and not go. You can decide whether that's the right person to date or not date.
Yes.
Where to put your money. Where to put your money. Well, you know, I just remember an incident. I'm not going to mention names, but I saw a friend of mine getting swept up by someone who I just knew was the wrong person. It was really clear that this was actually a dangerous person, and I did my best without saying anything to just intervene until I did say anything. Because when you can see clearly the outcome, you don't want anything bad to come to people you love either.
Right.
So I suppose often it seems like I'm putting my foot in my mouth by speaking the truth about certain things.
Yeah, and in the time that I've known you, I've seen that where you've made choices that didn't seem to make sense at the time to other people, but it ended up being exactly the best outcome.
Right. And I trust that. I really do trust that. And so this training, guys, is on Wednesday, March 20th. Victoria will put the links below so you can check it out. There are a few spots left. If you feel courageous and ready to give your intuition another kind of more testing now, really starting to push it to another level of how can I avoid disasters? How can I stay on the right path? How can I choose wisely? my friends, my family, the people around me, and my decisions, then you're going to love this class because it is timely, it is effective, and right now here we are in 2024, where things here are very confused. I don't know when you're going to be listening. If you're in 2028 listening, we'll come back. But if you're in 2024, we know that a lot of events are about to unfold. Knowing how to navigate them is really important, because you're not going to have, clear understanding of your next steps unless you started to look at it. And so that's kind of what I believe, and that's why I was told to teach the class.
Yeah, and this year is it's going to be a very interesting year, because more and more people are getting what I call being shook, right? Shake awake, and it in reality does feel a little unstable. One of the words I use for is augmented reality, because our reality right now, it just is that in between time, right? And so how do we navigate this in between time, be in between realities, in between worlds, and make conscious choices that serve the highest and greatest good of all concerned? And what it really requires, one of the things I've been teaching the last couple of years is that we're past the information age. We're now in the age of discernment, and it's a muscle that humanity's really never had to stretch and to use before. So we really need to work on using our muscle of discernment. And it's new. Learning how to discern is a new thing for human beings. So, and it's something that we really, really need to focus on now.
There's a lot of hype.
Yeah.
And a lot of false narratives, a lot of false prophets, and a lot of false
place.
Right?
Yeah.
False gurus. So, and history has proved that many of them are very false. So again, you have that little voice within you that you can train, you can super train to identify that which is for your highest good and that which is not.
Yeah. And that's really right there is the key, is asking what is the highest good.
Yeah. And also eliminating time wasters. So if you could see ahead of time, say if you're going to invest money, say if you could see ahead of time that that's going to be a loser investment, even though they're telling you you're going to, you're going to make money hand over fist, and they're hyping you and everyone gets excited, there has to be a part of you that says nope, nope, nope. And if you say no, then you actually take your power back.
Yeah.
While you watch all your friends falling for the hype, you already are in a place of calm certainty.
Yeah.
So,
and I've seen you make some of those choices over the last couple of years and not get sucked into some of the hype.
So proud of myself. So Victoria watched me personally say no to a few things, and I had an opportunity to watch the whole group kind of deteriorate because it never happened. And not that they lost more money, they didn't, and most likely they'll all get their money back, but you don't get the time you wasted back.
Right. Or the energy.
Yeah. So the hype that you put out on a false expectation that doesn't happen, and then you hold it there for 2 years, think of it's like an energy leak. So now when you extricate yourself from these things, you have to actually pull that energy back. That's 2 years worth of energy that just leaked away as we're involved in tracking that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I call that energy clutter.
Yeah.
Right? So we all have energy clutter.
Yeah.
And we're constantly cleaning up our clutter. It's like,
yep.
So cleaning out the clutter in our house is one thing, but there's emotional, right, physical, mental, spiritual, money clutter, and we have to keep our field clean. Clean up the clutter.
We do. Right. So Badass Angel Academy, I thought was a cute name as we talk about what we need to do to cut our losses and to prevent the losses and to really live freely and experience the best that we can for the highest good.
Well, I think it's going to be a fantastic class. It is a leadership class. You're right.
It is a leadership class,
this
guys.
Is Joan of Angels Leadership Academy.
Only I make fun of the whole thing by calling it a Badass Angel Academy, but I really should have said Joan's Jones
Light Leader Academy.
Light Leader Academy. How to be the best leader you can by becoming a badass angel. But I laugh whenever I say it, and it actually gets my attention.
Yeah.
When I say it. So yes, this is a Light Worker Academy leadership training, but it's a little lighthearted attempt at letting you know that you're setting boundaries, and that is badass.
It is badass.
Because most of my friends who are angels let themselves get walked over. And so it's really important that we start standing up for ourselves and speaking our truths.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're right. As a lot of us who are angelic beings, we want to keep the peace.
Oh,
Right?
I
We
don't
want to have
them
the
to feel
compassion
bad. They're
and
going to
the
feel
peace,
so bad if I speak my truth.
And to remember, we came here as change makers.
And that's the
as
definition.
change makers and as light leaders, we need to step into that leadership. And the people I know who are really dynamic leaders know when to say yes, and they know when to say no.
My heart sings when I'm supposed to say yes. That's a key that I have. And by the way, I did a presentation on what is a starseed, and you're right, they came in as a virus to interrupt the system.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? So you guys are all viruses here to interrupt the system, along with Victoria and myself. We are all here to really, in a way, hijack the remote control of the people and the mind, the mind control down here.
Yeah, it's really funny because we came here to infiltrate.
We are infiltrators. Oh, she gets so excited. Okay, infiltrate.
We're infiltrating the systems.
But remember, we are magnets for miracles. We are magnets for living the life that we are choosing. We just need to activate it and believe in it. And stop doing all the other things that distract and take away.
Yep.
So I hope to see you at the Badass Angel Academy, guys, as we really step up our leadership, our ability to trust our voice and trust that we are who we think we are, and gain that confidence.
Absolutely. So, well, thanks for hanging out with me today by the river.
So fun. This was a brilliant idea. We thought just to come down here and sit outside and talk to all of you. So you'll hear more from us from this river here in Scottsdale.
Yeah. We'll be here for a couple of months before we head off on our next adventure, wherever that is. We don't even know yet.
Barcelona. We won't tell them yet.
We don't know yet where we're going. And thank you all for joining us here today. And as I always say, remember to hold your light so high others can't help but see their own light. Together, we are creating a world of peace, love, harmony, prosperity, freedom for all life on earth. And as always, get bold, be fearless, and live free.